Welcome back to the Becoming Mind Strong podcast. A while back, I did an episode called Calling All Undereaters. And I want to take that topic and be a lot more specific about what's happening. In Mind Strong, we work with a lot of peri and postmenopausal women. And the common theme, if I had to give a title to the TED Talk of peri and postmenopause, it would be what in the actual hell is happening to my body? I am doing all the things I used to do in my 20s and 30s. I'm eating less, I'm moving more, I'm eating healthy, and nothing is freaking working. And I plan to record a lot more peri and postmenopausal specific episodes coming up in this podcast. But for the purposes today, what I really want to dive into is the common theme that we see more often than not. When we're working with peri and postmenopausal women, the vast majority of them, not all of them, but I would venture to estimate a solid 80 to 85% of the peri and postmenopausal women we work with are not actually overeating, they're under eating. And that is wildly confusing, right? Because we have grown up in a diet culture that tells us the less you eat, the more you lose. And if that were true, any peri and postmenopausal woman would not be listening to this podcast because we'd be like, cool, I've been doing this for 45, 50, 60 years. I got it from here. And the proof is in the pudding. That is not how it works, especially at this stage in life. So today I'm talking specifically if you are someone who feels like you're doing everything right, you're eating less, you're moving more, especially if at this point you feel like potentially you are under eating, this is for you. If you are familiar with any of the work that we do at Mindstrong, you've heard me say before, the first thing we have every single human do before we can do anything in one-to-one coaching is we have you eat the way you normally eat and pop your food into an app for 5 days. Now, a lot of times when I'm talking about that, especially on this podcast, I'm talking about the concept of baby steps, momentum, right? We want to meet your body where it is and slowly work it from where it is to where it needs to be. For today's purposes, there's another reason that I'm going to really dive into more about why we need to know what your body's used to. Because when someone comes to us because their body is not responding, because they've either been dieting their entire life or they've never had to think about this before, and suddenly they hit perimenopause and their body has just shut down. All the stuff that used to work is no longer working. There's lower belly fat. What in the actual hell is happening to my body is the name of the TED Talk, right? The common sense one is, well, they're probably overeating. But as I said in the intro, I would venture to estimate about 85, and that's a conservative estimate. 85% of the peri and postmenopausal women that come to us are not overeating. They're under eating. And again, that is wildly confusing. That is a very tough pill to swallow, right? I get on calls with women. I tell them if your body doesn't have enough calories in it, it is not going to release the weight. And they look at me like I have six heads because, again, we have grown up in a diet culture that tells us move more, eat less, and the weight will fall off. But if that were true, those 85% of women in peri and postmenopause that are coming to me eating 1,200 calories a day, they would be skin and bones, right? If you've checked out any of my content, you've heard me talk about Coach Dory when now Coach Dory, when she was Dory, not Coach Dory, when she joined Ignite, she was eating 900 calories a day, 900 calories post menopause, post hysterectomy. She called it stuck in her grandma bod. At 900 calories a day, if it were true that the less you eat, the more you lose, Dory would have been a walking skeleton. But yet her body wouldn't release the weight. So the only reason I knew what was happening is because I use this method. Dory came to me way back in the day, the first few years of Mind Strong. I said, hey, eat as you normally eat, track your food for 5 days. And what I saw was that she was eating 900 calories a day. So I told her, Dory, buckle in for what I'm about to tell you. You're not going to like it. But we have to meet your body where it is. And we have to slowly, slowly, slowly increase your calories because the stage we're in right now, the name of the game is that we have to heal your metabolism. And I'm going to talk about that more in this podcast episode. But just like everyone else in the 7 years since, Dory looked at me like I had six heads and was like, are you nuts? I came to you to lose weight. And you're sitting here telling me that I have to eat more food? Absolutely not. And I said to her what I continue to say to people this day, like, what's the plan otherwise? Like, we're at 900 calories. You want to go to 600 calories? If 900 didn't work, Do you truly believe that 600 is going to work? Like, what is option B? So, and I obviously say it a little sweeter than that, but that was the gist of the conversation. And the reason that Dory is now called Coach Dory is she trusted the process. In the beginning, she did not trust the process, but she trusted me. And we went super, super slowly so that her body could not gain weight, which again, I will talk you through in a few minutes here. And on the other side of it, if you've been on any of my pages of my website, any of my Instagram, you have seen Dory's picture because we love to shout her from the rooftops. She not only lost 35 pounds post menopause, post hysterectomy, but she started eating 1,600 calories a day. She went from 900 calories to 1,600 calories a day, and her body shed the weight. And I talk about Dory a lot because it changed her life so much that she was like, I need to shout this from the rooftops. And I was like, same, come be a coach for me. And Dory became one of my first coaches years and years ago when I started hiring coaches and stopped doing everything myself. That's a podcast for another day. And since this day, like to this day, hearing it from Dory is so powerful because she's lived it. Right now, when a new member comes in and they've got that deer in headlights look of, I had this call with Rachel and she told me I'm going to raise my calories and it's petrifying. Now Dory can be like, yeah, been there. And I'm on the other side of it. But this is so common that we actually built out a whole page of our website just for undereaters. And if you go on that page, you will see just testimony, testimony, testimony. And most of those testimonies, we've made videos. So you can hear firsthand of these women being like, I thought Rachel was absolutely insane telling me that I was going to raise my calories. I'm like, I just paid you to help me lose 15 pounds and now I'm going to go gain 25. Are you nuts? And on the other side of it, which true for every single one of them, is that they're eating more food than they ever have and they've dropped the weight. So let's talk about why that happens. So if you watched, as of the time of this recording, I have a 90-minute deep dive training out there called How to Fire Up Your Metabolism and Balance Your Hormones in Menopause and Beyond. We have a little short and punchy 12-minute version of that. A lot of my content out there about peri and post menopause. I talk a lot about getting your body to trust you, right? I use the analogy if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're holding tight to every single penny, and I come along and give you $2,000 and say, here, bonus paycheck, spend it however you want. I'll be back next month. It's going to take a while. You're not going to believe me right away. You're probably still going to hold tight, but with enough time and consistency, if I keep showing up each month, giving you that $2,000, at some point, you're going to be like, wow, this Rachel chick is really coming through every month, $2,000. And you're just going to start to trust it's coming and you're going to spend freely. I'm going through that quickly because I've talked about it endlessly and there's lots of podcasts on that. But a huge part of what happens when we're under eating is biologically, your body just doesn't trust you. It doesn't trust that it's having the fuel it needs in a day. So it's not going to release what it has from a safety survival standpoint. And we can take this conversation one step further. And that's what I want to do today. Your metabolism, by definition, your metabolism is how well your body processes calories. That's what a metabolism is. So if you're eating 1,200, 1,100, 1,000, 900 calories a day. I would even go as high as 1,300 calories a day. If you are eating around those numbers and your body is not releasing weight, that is a glaring neon red arrow pointing sign saying your metabolism has left the building, ladies and gentlemen. If you're eating that few of calories, and let me pause here and give you a little startling statistic that I find shocking, but it's true, that the textbook version, like if you were to read a nutrition textbook, anything under 1,600 calories by definition is considered low calorie. So people think, a lot of times people think 1,500 calories. Oh my gosh, I'm eating so many calories by textbook definition. And I'm not a big believer in like blanket statements like that. But right now I'm talking very logistically. That is the definition that low calories considered under 1,600. But for the purposes of what we're talking today, I'm going to stick with if you're 1,300 calories or under. If you are 1,300 calories or under, and your body is not releasing weight, there's no debate here. There is nothing open for debate. Science is science. The math has to math. What we are learning is that your metabolism is not functioning the way it's supposed to. It is just simply data, right? There's nothing to shame, blame, guilt ourselves about. There's nothing to freak out about. It's not great news, but it is what it is. Your metabolism is not currently working as well as we would like it to. That is simple science because What your metabolism is how well your body burns calories. You're eating tremendously few calories and your body's not releasing weight. Now, here's the problem. When women come to me, and let's just stick with 1100 because we see a lot of 1100 calorie eaters. Women come to me, they're eating 1100 calories, and they say to me, Rachel, I've got 15 pounds of me that I cannot get rid of. How do I get rid of it? They're not going to like my answer, but it's the only answer. I mean, well, no, that's not true. I'm going to give you two paths you can go down. Number one, go on a drug like Ozempic. And I promise you, 6 months from now, you are going to be kicking yourself for making that decision, because the world of health problems that are now coming out, this is a very new drug and the studies are just coming out and they are not looking good. That is the understatement of a year. This is terrible for your body. Unless the purpose of Ozempic, by the way, now I'm just going on a rant, it is a diabetes drug. So what I'm saying right now does not apply to you if you have diabetes. But if you are using it to get those 10 pounds off of you, Lord Almighty, buckle in for your future self. Because number one, the host of problems that are coming out now. Number two, you have just if your metabolism hole, we're going to call it the metabolism hole. If right now it is a foot deep, you just made it a mile deep. When you go on drugs like this and you are trying to trick your body, absolutely, it'll be a quick fix. You will lose those 10 pounds like that overnight. And come talk to me in 6 months, because a lot of women are right now. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of calls I'm having with women who said, I went on Ozempic, I lost 40 pounds, I gained back 60, and now it's like rush job. The pounds are piling on. It's like, yeah, because your metabolism doesn't know how to function, right? It goes back to what I said a minute ago. Your metabolism is your body's ability to process calories. When you start tricking it with drugs, you put a blindfold on it, spun it around 10 times, and then told it to go run a marathon. What in the actual heck is happening? But that is option one. If that's what you want to do, you know my favorite expression, do you, boo-boo. 0 out of a billion recommend. Option two is we have to play some long ball. And this is where a lot of people don't like the answer, but I love you too much not to tell you the truth. If you're eating 1100 calories and you come to me and you say, Rachel, how do I get these last 15 pounds off me? My answer is, you're asking the wrong question. I did a podcast a little while ago about how long do macros take? And I use an analogy in there that I love, and I'm going to repeat it here, where if you come to me and say, Rachel, how do I invest $10 million? But then I look at your bank account and you got $300 in there. Same thing. You're asking the wrong question. The first question is, how do I get to my first 1,000? And then we can start talking about investing, right? If you're only eating 1,100 calories and your body's not releasing weight, glaring neon sign, your metabolism has, I don't want to say shut down, but it is not looking good. The question we need to ask is, number one, how do I heal my metabolism? How do I get my metabolism back to doing what it's supposed to be doing, meaning burning calories? Because when my metabolism is fixed, the weight will come off. Right now, the reason that those pounds are not coming off, no matter what you do, come hell or high water, is because your metabolism is not burning calories. Your body is not burning calories the way it's meant to. When we heal your metabolism, which is very doable, there's this step-by-step process that we take people through. It has to be very personalized and very specific, and you cannot cookie cutter it. And when you go through it, it will work. When we heal your metabolism, well, then it's time and consistency. When we get your body used to processing calories again, of course the weight's going to drop off. That's how the human body's designed. But most people aren't willing to put in a little time to play long ball, right? Most people are at a point where they're like, I don't recognize my body. I never had to think about this before. I'm doing everything. I'm cutting calories. I'm eating clean. I'm moving more. My body's not releasing the weight. Get it off me now, now, now. And I love you. And I try not to be a black or white person. But on this topic, it is a black or white answer. You're either going to destroy your metabolism further by going on some kind of drug that's a temporary fix and digging the hole a mile deeper, 10 miles deeper. Or number two, you're going to buckle in, you're going to flex your patience muscle, you're going to do it for your future self. We're going to play long ball and say, how about I heal my metabolism first? Because once that's healed, once my body is back to burning calories the way it's designed to be, then the weight's going to fall off. Okay. And in some podcast episodes ahead, I'm going to talk more about why this happens specifically in menopause. I mean, the quick and dirty answer, you guys know if you've hung out here before, in our 20s, we haven't had as many years under our belt of yo-yo dieting. in our 40s, 50s, 60s, we have more years under our belt. And for some people, that's a very distinct statement, right? They're like, yep, I have yo-yo dieted my whole life. For some people, they're like, I haven't really yo-yo dieted though. I've mostly eaten healthy. And you probably have. But eating healthy is not the same as fueling your body the way it needs to be fueled. Unless you have consciously known and paid attention to giving it the balance of carbs, fat, protein, guess what? You have somewhat yo-yo dieted. It might not be as extreme, which is great news because the healing process is going to be faster than someone who's yo-yo dieted longer. But at the end of the day, unless we have consciously been fueling our bodies with those correct proportions for years and years, we are now undoing decades upon decades upon decades of running our metabolism into the ground. And there are more specific menopausal and postmenopausal things that we'll talk about in podcast episodes today, but I don't want to get too in the weeds today. But understand that, we're raised in a society of quick fixes. And when I tell people, you're asking the wrong question. The question is, how do I heal my metabolism first? Because when I do that, the rest is going to come. We don't want to hear that, right? It's like, well, how do I get it off now? And my answer is, how many years have you destroyed your metabolism? And I don't say that with shame, blame, guilt. We didn't know, right? If there's one thing that infuriates me, it's that we're not teaching this stuff in school. If we learned about macros in high school, I would be gladly out of business. Put me out of business because we're educating our youth on this and we're healing generations of trauma when it comes to weight loss with our bodies, with our nutrition. We need to be teaching this in school because the damage starts when we're young, into our 20s when we're abusing our bodies the most, into our 30s where we're still kind of abusing, but somewhere along the line, kind of chill out with that. And then our 40s hit and we pay the price for it. We have had decades upon decades upon decades of putting our body through the ringer. And now we're like, well, give me the quick fix. It doesn't work like that. Again, I'm going to refer back to that earlier podcast of how long do macros take to work. And this is my new favorite analogy, but it's also a terrible one. Like, if your spouse had been cheating on you for 5 years and then you go to one therapy session and they're like, cool, can we get over this now? Like, I would pay money to see the look on your face of, are you freaking kidding me? And if our metabolisms could talk, that's what they would be saying to you. Are you're kidding me, right? Because it has been 50 years of not giving me what I needed, of low carb, low fat, high fat, insert diet here, whatever that looks like. And now you're paying attention to this for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you want me to just fire up and be okay? Like, no, boo-boo, buckle in. This is going to take a little trust and a little work. And it's repairable. We can 1000% heal your metabolism if you're perimenopausal, if you're postmenopausal, if you've spent decades yo-yo dieting, if this is a new roadblock that you hit in this stage of life. But what we have to understand, if you are under eating right now, this is not a quick fix. There is no quick fix unless you are willing to do even more damage. If you're of the mindset of, I don't care, get it off me and I will pay the price for it 6 months from now, cool. There are tons of options on the market for it. I don't suggest it because you're going to kick yourself for it. And there are more women than I can count doing that right now. And we're not even touching on the inner health issues that are coming out now. But if you are an intelligent being who understands that we're in this for the long haul, that we're here to not just take care of our health, but conquer this thing, put ourselves in the driver's seat, then we have to flex that patience muscle. We have to say, okay, yeah, I get it. I've spent a lot of time not treating my body the way it needed to be treated, and that's okay. We all do it, right? That's life. We learn and we grow. And there's going to be a healing process first before I get to the weight loss process. Now, I will leave you with a bit of good news. It is not black or white. It's not like when you're in this healing process and we are slowly, slowly, slowly getting your metabolism used to eating more food. It's not like nothing. Okay, now it's healed. Now weight loss starts coming off. There are changes you're going to start to notice immediately. You're going to notice your sleep improves. You're going to notice your ability to deal with stress is better. You're going to notice that your energy skyrockets. You're going to start to notice some changes in your clothes. Like, this is not 0 to 100. There are changes that are going to happen, but it's expectation management. That the question is not, how do I get these 15 pounds off me in 2 weeks? That the answer is don't do that. I mean, if you want to do it, but don't do that. The answer is, how do I heal my metabolism so I set myself up for success in the long run? And once I do that, holy grail right here, once I do that, this is how I put myself in the driver's seat. I conquer the skill of nutrition. I am in complete control of my health, not just talking about weight loss. I'm talking about cholesterol, blood sugar, energy, all of the above. Conquer this skill, put myself in the driver's seat, and literally never diet again. So, if you are a peri or postmenopausal woman and you are listening to this and you're like, oh my God, Rachel must be in my brain right now because she knows what I'm feeling. It's not my first rodeo. 2,500 women later, you hear a lot of the same things. And for better or worse, this is what happens. And it sucks. And if I could wave my magic dumbbell, there are two things that I would change in life. Number one, I would make weight loss a much faster process when done correctly. I mean, world peace too. So we'll make it three. But on this topic, number two is that we wouldn't have these symptoms of menopause. But this is how the human body is designed. These things are supposed to happen. What's not supposed to happen is that we're not supposed to be driving our metabolism into the ground. And we didn't know any better when we were younger, but we know a heck of a lot better now. We are strong, independent, intelligent women, and we know better than to do these quick fix BS things that are doing more harm than good. So if you need some help, as you know, as of the time of this recording, I'm still doing one-to-one strategy sessions. Reach out to me. We'll jump on a call. We'll talk about what this process looks like. But for the purposes of this podcast, there is hope. There is hope. There is hope. There is hope. I can't even tell you how many women I work with that feel like they're just out of hope because they are doing everything right and nothing is working. And if there is one thing you hear me say today, it's that there is hope. And we have to heal your metabolism through a very specific method where we get it used to processing more food in baby steps. So our body's not freaking out, our mind's not freaking out. We are not gaining weight. We're doing it in a very slow, controlled way. But once we heal that metabolism, that's it. It will be on fire. You'll be eating more food than you've ever eaten in your life. And that is when the weight sheds off.